Hi, welcome to another edition of Business Bites. My name is David Tighe from Bauer Media Audio here in Northern Ireland. And each week we delve into the world of business and we catch up with various individuals and we get some insight and opinion. This week I'm really pleased to welcome our guest. It's Judith Gillespie, who's an independent assessor for Diversity Mark. Judith, welcome to Business Bites.
Thanks very much, David. It's lovely to be here.
Well, it's great to have you here, and you have a hugely impressive backstory, and we kind of always start with this question, and I suppose we're here to talk about diversity and inclusivity this week. So for those people who don't know your backstory, tell us a little bit about it and how your story has led you to where you are today to be able to talk about diversity and inclusivity.
Okay, David. Well, my background is in policing. I was a police officer for 32 years. But for more than 10 years, I was a chief officer within the Police Service of Northern Ireland during the period of transformational change within policing in Northern Ireland. And I was diversity champion for PSNI. So I led on strategies like the Gender Action Plan and obviously with the recruitment rules being changed to allow 50% Catholic, 50% non-Catholic into PSNI. I oversaw that transformational change in the composition of the Police Service of Northern Ireland. So I bring all that experience with me to the table, but also just from a personal interest point of view, being a woman in an organisation where men were in the vast majority, I bring that experience to the table as well. So it's great to be involved in this Diversity Mark initiative and to see organisations wanting to drive the diversity and inclusion agenda through a voluntary sign up to this charter mark. So I'm learning every day through seeing various really creative initiatives and strategies being developed by a whole range of companies in Northern Ireland, and not just private sector companies, but also large public sector organisations and the third sector as well. So it's great to be involved in this.
Well, that must have been some journey to get you where you are today. What did you learn throughout that whole experience? And when you're doing your independent assessment now with Diversity Mark, what things have sort of stuck with you in terms of guiding principles about making sure that we are in a more diverse and inclusive society?
Yeah, well, the Diversity Mark process is pretty robust, and we look for metrics and measurables, because it's all very well setting yourself a kind of visionary ideal, but you have to hold yourselves to account and measure progress. And so what we've learned from the almost 6 years that I've been involved in this is that the companies that really, or the organizations that really do change the dial and move, change the culture of the organization, are those who openly publish their targets and hold themselves to account by measuring progress. So it's not just about lots of activity, important as that is, and we see lots of energy and passion going into this, but also really measuring where are we starting, and having interim milestones so that you can see the progress from the baseline that you started at to where you are now. And if you haven't made the progress that you hope to make, well, why did that not happen? And learning from those strategies that didn't work as much as those that did work. So it's a really interesting journey, and we see companies buddying up with other companies and learning from each other, which is really good to see as well. So in Diversity Mark, we would sometimes see perhaps an organization that is overrepresented by females in certain areas, and they can learn as much from organizations that there's underrepresentation in as well. So very often what we see is organizations typically where women are underrepresented at a senior level, but overrepresented in certain disciplines. So we want to know, why is that? And what are the barriers to women moving up into senior levels within the organization? And of course, when you get beyond bronze level, there are 3 levels: bronze, silver, and gold. So once you move beyond bronze level, we look at wider diversity issues. So not just gender issues, but also race, ethnicity, sexual orientation, disability, neurodiversity, which is more and more coming into the frame, and widening the diversity and inclusion lens. So it really is a robust, challenging, but really worthwhile process.
Fascinating. And what about for, I suppose, small and medium-sized businesses who maybe, struggle to, get from one end of the week to the other, and especially in sort of tightening economic times that we kind of seem to be going through, there is an opportunity for people to cut corners and for people perhaps to kind of go, well, look, maybe I'll park this area, or maybe I don't understand it. So what would be your advice? What are the benefits of having a diverse and inclusive workplace?
It's fair to say that everybody is under pressure at the moment. Even the largest public sector organizations, the civil service, the PSNI, they're all seeing real cuts to budgets, and that makes the case for diversity and inclusion even stronger. Because if you're spending money on recruitment and promotion campaigns, if you're spending money training people, you want to recruit first of all, and then retain your very best talent. And you want people to be able to be their true selves at work, and to contribute ideas and suggestions when decisions are being made. I mean, for me, certainly as a former police officer, one of the key issues in diversity and inclusion was understanding the community that we were policing. And you would only understand that community if the community could see its own face reflected in the police service, and if you understood the needs and the desires of the community that you were policing. And that's the same in any organization: understanding your client base, understanding your customer base, garnering the very best creative solutions to really knotty problems within your organization, and holding on to the best talent that you can recruit. And in a case where budgets are really under pressure and recruitment markets are tight, then the case for diversity and inclusion is at its strongest. You want to be reaching out to those most talented people. You want to make sure that they will feel confident that their values will be reflected in the organization that they're joining. And really, it's excellent when we see business cases, when we see applications for diversity mark, which show that the company's values really are kind of like the stick of rock woven throughout the company's business strategies as well. And those values of diversity and inclusion are represented strongly within that business case.
Yeah. And how do you think, from what you can see, how do you think we're doing in this area in our part of the world? How are we faring?
I don't think we can ever be complacent about diversity and inclusion, because there are always new challenges emerging. However, I can say that almost 200 companies, organizations, and enterprises have signed up to Diversity Mark, which I think augurs really well for the future. And it shows willing on the part of those companies to hold themselves to account, to make progress, to really push the dial on cultural change within Northern Ireland. And many of those companies are large global multinationals, but not just the big companies, the big names, but also smaller enterprises are signing up to Diversity Mark. And I find that really encouraging, just as you were asking me earlier, at a time when budgets are under pressure and the temptation is to kind of park diversity and inclusion initiatives for now. Smaller companies are seeing the business case for diversity and inclusion and signing up and wanting to learn from other companies who have traveled this journey and who are perhaps a little bit further ahead in the journey. But the beauty of Diversity Mark is we meet people where they are. We don't look for perfection. We just look for a recognition that there needs to be a change, and a recognition that targets need to be set to drive that change. And so you don't have to be way advanced in your diversity and inclusion journey. We meet you where you are today, and we will walk the journey with you.
Well, Judith, it's been absolutely fascinating to have this discussion with you today. Time has beaten us, as it always does, too quickly. But thank you for what you're doing at Diversity Mark, and I think it's making a real difference. And I think if anyone wants to find out more, all the details are within this particular podcast. So, Judith, thank you for being our guest this week.
It's my pleasure. Thank you, David.